Hello and welcome guys. This is a next video about Kafka and Golang. In this video we'll talk about inbox pattern and how we will use it on our consumer side, and well, actually it's always used on consumer side from my knowledge. Nevertheless, we've written already most of the code and talked about it in the previous videos when I was talking about exactly once delivery, how we can guarantee it with Kafka. And now we will just connect it to our Outbox pattern, right? We will just join them together and go one more time through the code. And yeah, essentially why we need it. We needed to guarantee that we process the message which arrived from the producer, and we can decide if we want to process it exactly once or at least once. And basically we get an opportunity to have retries, error handling, right? We get all these tools in our hands from the consumer side. And if you recall from my previous videos, I mentioned that usually consumer is the smart one and producer is dumb, right? So on the consumer, we have all these options, how we want to handle the messages. All right, so just to refresh the memory of how our Outbox pattern was working. So let's assume we have some kind of payment service. We were sending payments to our backend and we were just inserting them to the database, and we wanted to have another microservice which will have an audit of all these payments, which will have like separate database and everything like that. And we basically had everything the same. We didn't change any logic, but we added one more table, insert into events, and this events table had everything we needed for this audit microservice. And then we were just returning the response to the client, right? And then we had a separate like cron job, right? A background worker that was fetching everything from the database and then sending to the Kafka. And then our separate microservice, audit microservice, should consume these messages, right? However, what are the problems that might arise here? The first one is that we are producing events at least once from the producer side. So we have at least once producer. What it means that whenever we produce events, right, we are fetching them from the database, then we send them to Kafka. Then for some reason, database can crash. And once database is up, we will once again fetch events from the database because we didn't update them. We are fetching them by pending status, right? Since database crashed, they're still in pending. We fetch them one more time and we send them again to Kafka. And then for some reason, database crashes again and we are in this cycle, right? So we can send events many, many times, but we will send them at least one time, right? At least one time we will send them, update status in the success case, and these events will not be fetched from the database one more time, because the status will change from pending to produced or completed, whatever. So until this status changes, we will be sending events to Kafka again and again and again. So we have at least once producer, and for example, for our audit trail, we want to process events exactly once, right? So this is issue number one. And the other issues arise from the consumer side, and we've talked about them in the previous video. I'll just refresh your memory. So we have our Kafka consumer here. And actually, I would recommend you to check out my previous video about exactly once delivery on the consumer side. But nevertheless, so we have our consumer. We have some kind of read message loop, which sends the messages to some kind of message channel. And then we will be spawning tons of Go routines for each of our messages, right? Because we might be receiving a batch of messages. And then we will be saving them to Postgres. And in Postgres, we will have some kind of event ID or event used for deduplication. It's often called deduplication ID, but I call it Outbox event ID, so it's more clear in the code. Nevertheless, we save it into the database, and then if the same message arrives from the producer one more time, we already know that we process this message and we can just ignore it, right? However, there is another issue that we need to commit messages to Kafka, and each database operation might take different times. So one message can take 3 seconds, the other is second, and another is 5 seconds. And while this one is still being processed, message number 4 got completed, and we cannot commit it because we need all messages to be completed, and then we can commit the entire batch, right? So for example, we committed 0 and 1, these two got completed, and we committed them, and then our database crashed for some reason. But we already processed number 3, right? So we will consume event number 2 and number 3 one more time, and thanks to event ID, we can understand that this event was processed already before, and we will skip it, right? We will just store number 2 to the database and then commit this entire batch. So this is the entire logic essentially. And as you can see, we can reprocess the events. We can consume them one more time. Nothing will happen. So if we want exactly once delivery, if we want something else, we can remove this event ID, right, and process events the way we like. And thanks to Kafka, we can consume messages from different offset and restart processing and things like this. And one more point I want to mention that I have my state management, right, for committing offsets like this. Some people in some applications, right, they don't use it this way. You can, for example, also not spawn Go routines here and process each message one by one. The drawback is that it's going to be slower, but essentially you can have way simplified logic because you don't need to have this message state. You can just process the message, save it to the database, and then commit to Kafka. Process this one, commit to Kafka. Well, one more time, the problem is that it might take longer, right? For example, what if here is not 5 seconds, but 30 seconds? And it will just block the entire flow. In my flow, it doesn't block. If, for example, somewhere on a database operation on the number 3 we'll get an error, we'll just send it to the letter Q. I will talk about it in future videos as well, how we can implement it, right? So our flow is just suitable for way higher throughput. And I think it's very nice to have this kind of message state map and have a commit offset loop to commit the offsets once a batch is ready. All right, this is the intro. Now let's jump into coding and see how we can implement all of this. Alright guys, so I have our demo project in front of us. As you can see, I have in CMD two servers. One is essentially HTTP server is our API, which is producer. It will receive all the messages from the web, create payment, and produce them. And message server is the one that is accepting the requests. And also I've added an inbox service in services, and in repos I added inbox repo. I keep this all in the same folder. Well, probably you will have this in separate folders, but maybe not, depending on your project. Right, it can be in a mono repo and reuse the types like I'm doing here, but I did this in the same folder just for simplicity's sake. All right, let's have a look what we have in here. So essentially we have a server with a consumer, and as I showed you just now, with a service, our inbox service. We are creating our service with our server, sorry. We are inserting into it service with the inbox repo, and then we are adding consumer. Pretty much I showed this also in the previous videos, how we do this essentially, and I'm adding consumer also to the service because from service we will straight away consume the events. And obviously I'm not following clean architecture here because there is no point here. This is just a demo presentation of the inbox pattern. If you need to do it via clean architecture, right, you will do it a bit differently, but that's not the point of this video. Nevertheless, the important part here is in the main, right, we are initializing database, and I'm using same database as for the Outbox pattern. And once again, this will probably be different databases. Maybe not, but most likely this is used in microservices, and in each service usually has its own database. At least this is a common approach. So essentially we are creating a inbox repo, attaching our consumer to our service, and then we are creating a Go routine that will handle messages from our consumer, and we are starting our consumer, run consumer. We can also wrap it in a function, right, start server, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just starting here a consumer, and it will block loop because we have here consume loop, and in consume loop, we are receiving messages from Kafka. Then we're doing some validations, transforming it, preparing the payload, and then sending it to our message channel, right? The one we are expecting in here, right? And then we are reading from this channel and handling the message. So this is all the setup in our main. So essentially we are consuming messages from Kafka as soon as they arrive, not as soon, every second. And then the important part here, here I've added some delay just to see that we are consuming and, saving to database in different order, and then we are committing everything correctly. And yeah, the important part here that on our service, we are saving to the database. We have a save function, and we are initializing our repo. As you can see, everything is being handled in a single transaction. Although here, right now, I have only single database operation. So as you can see, we are creating inbox event from message data, and message data will be essentially what we send from Outbox, everything needed for this microservice, everything that we are expecting. So let's have a look. We have obviously ID for this inbox event. We have event type, right? So we can differentiate them. We have Outbox event ID, and this is the most important part. This is the duplication ID, which we will use to identify that this is event is unique. It has to be unique in database and not null. Probably you can add some validations and respond back with errors to your API or producer, saying that, for example, if it arrived empty, right, because we cannot work without it. But for simplicity's sake, I did not all these validations, etc. It will depend on your business rules. So this is probably the most important part here, right? We need to have some kind of unique ID, as I mentioned on the diagrams. And we have Outbox created at, and then just metadata, right? And here we have information about the parent, what we sent, because it's going to be quite important as well. If we have a distributed transactions, probably we will respond that transaction is over or etc., right? With some kind of status and what happened. If we have maybe Saga. Nevertheless, that's outside of the scope of this video. So essentially we are creating new event from Outbox event. We've created it. Then we are initializing our repo with a table name audit. And let me go back. Here we have insert function. And this is just insert into database. As you can see, this is insert query. I have an SQLX here. So essentially I'm writing a row query. Then I'm just running this query, expecting rows, and just returning the inserted ID, right? I'm not using here named context, and I think it's named query context because it didn't return me the ID, right? I couldn't get the ID from it. It was telling me that it doesn't work with Postgres, so I used just query context, just basically raw data. Nevertheless, that's nothing special in here. So essentially after that, if we are inserting the same event that already is in database, we will get an error here, right? We will check what kind of error is there, and I already have a check for it. So we will check if this ID already exists. It means that we already processed this event and we should not process it second time. We will mark it as success and just return from this function. Otherwise, we got a real error. We will probably send it to dead letter queue or whatever it is, depending on how we're going to handle our errors. The main part that we need to change status and commit it to Kafka, right? Consider it processed, otherwise it will block our commit loop. And otherwise, if there is no errors, we are just committing, we're just marking it as a success and committing. So this is essentially the entire logic. However, one important part is still missing in our save function, and we are not handling anything, we are not doing anything with business logic, right? So where will be business logic, right? BL, where should it be? So the simplest way is to have it right here, right? In the same transaction, save, like do business logic here. But it will obviously take longer because we need to save it into database, do whatever we need to do with business logic. So each commit will take longer commits to Kafka, which is not ideal, right? There might be issues with that, but nevertheless, in case if Kafka crashed or we need to restart our API, it's fine. We will just reprocess events. They will get into existing already, some of them, and we will skip it. But if we have a lot of services, like we have many services, like we have order service, payment service, different type of payment services, right? So we don't want to import all these services into this function, right? It's going to be messy. Maybe we want to do this via channel, like channel will send it, or we want to do the same like in Outbox. We will have some kind of cron operation or ticker, and then we will just fetch all the messages from the inbox, which are with certain status, cron by status, right? Like something like pending, and then process them one by one. The benefit of this approach is obviously the duplication, right? We can have some kind of, for channels, for example, we can have some Go routine, which will consume these messages, and it will have a factory, service factory, right? Determine which service to use in this particular case. And what is the benefit of this? That it's going to be faster because we will here just save event. And because it's going to be way faster, right? We are just saving one event here. It should be quite fast. Well, depends obviously on the size of the event. It can vary, but most likely it's going to be a small event and we can save it quite quickly. So we can even process events one by one, sequentially, not in Go routine, which will simplify our commit offset loop logic, right? So there is a trade-off. That's why I didn't add it here, because it will depend, right? I've seen in different apps it's done differently from what I've checked so far. Nevertheless, this is pretty much everything I wanted to show you in this video. Now let's run the code and see how it's going to work. Just a brief pause. If you enjoy this type of content or want to watch me live code projects like this, hit subscribe button and ring the bell. It is free, takes 2 seconds, and helps me a ton. As you can see, only a very small percentage of you guys actually subscribe to my channel. Anyways, thank you very much for all the support. Let's continue. All right, let me check Makefile. What we have here, we have API. This is going to be our producer, and we have audit. This is our consumer. As you can see, we are running everything with race detection. So if we'll have race condition, we will see it. So let me start the producer. And in a separate, we will start consumer, make audit. As you can see, we are already producing events. We should have 4 partitions. All right, consumer connected. We've got 4 partitions assigned. As you can see, let me make consumer a bit bigger so we can see we got 4 partitions, 0, 1, 2, 3, and we are already processing some events. So as you can see, we're updating state for which upset, insert saved, message saved. Right. All right, I have quite a lot of logs in here, but essentially we are printing the state map. As you can see here, 1 is it's completed or in an error state, and 0 that it was not completed. And now we're running commit offset loop. And as you can see, we are determining the latest offset and committing it. Then we are essentially printing what is the latest message. And then, right, we are removing messages from the state, which are completed, and we are committing them. However, let's stop our producer and let's stop our consumer, right? So we saved some messages into database and we received more messages, which we haven't. Oh, all right, probably we got all of them already on consumer, but as you can see, we saved them, but we haven't committed them. Let's remember some of them, like ZM, this one, ZMQM in partition 0 offset 32. We should receive it now one more time, and it shouldn't be saved in the database, right? We should get duplicate ID error. And actually, while it's starting, let me show you, where is it, my migrations. So we have audit, and as you can see in here, we have Outbox event ID. And the first time I was doing this myself, I forgot to, so we should set it not null, and we should make it unique, right? So whenever we insert it, we'll get an error that we cannot insert something that it's already stored in the database, right? So we will get an error on unique constraint. All right, so which one we wanted to check? ZMQM offset 32 partition 0. Let's see if we got it. ZMQM, let's search for it. ZMQM partition 0 offset 32, error saved in the database. For some reason I'm logging this twice, I think in the function, and then after we return this error I'm logging it. But nevertheless, this is partition 0. Let's look for partition 0. This is our state. As you can see, 31, 32, 33 all completed. And now we should wait for partition 0, so we are committing the next offset, which got completed. So 34 and plus 1, I explained it in my previous video. And now, as you can see, we are just running loop and there is nothing to consume. So essentially everything is working as expected. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.